Welcome to The Queen's Lair, a lifestyle podcast. Get inspired by our latest tips and information about small business, entrepreneurship, natural hair, travel, food, and even relationships. Stay tuned for another great episode. I am your host, Renee Patrice. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into my podcast once again. Where do we even start here? Let's just jump into it. Roe versus Wade. Let's just cut to the chase. I was going to try to find a way to segue. There is no segue. If you have been living under a rock, I don't know if you have been paying attention, but there was a document that was leaked from the Supreme Court. So we're talking from on high, that they are in the middle of drafting a document to overturn abortion rights. Now, let me backtrack a little bit about Roe versus Wade. I think a lot of people always hear the Roe versus Wade, but haven't really read up about it and really understand what Roe versus Wade is. And it has been around for nearly 50 years, almost 50 years. Okay. Roe versus Wade is 410 U.S. 113, 1973. Okay? This is the citation in your government books. Okay? This was a landmark decision of the United States Supreme Court, in which the court ruled that the Constitution of the United States protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion without excessive government restriction. The decision struck down many U.S. federal and state abortion laws. Roe fueled an ongoing abortion debate in the United States about whether or to what extent abortion should be legal, who should decide the legality of abortion, and what the role of moral and religious views in the political sphere should be. It also shaped debate concerning which methods the Supreme Court should use in constitutional adjudication. I'm going to read this next piece too, because I haven't really thought this through about what I want to say about it. But let me just read this through, and I'm literally reading the facts. The decision involved the case of Norma McCorvey, known by the legal pseudonym Jane Roe, who in 1969 became pregnant with her third child. McCorvey wanted an abortion but lived in Texas, where abortion was illegal except when necessary to save the mother's life. Her attorneys, Sarah Weddington and Linda Coffey, filed a lawsuit on her behalf in U.S. federal court against her local district attorney, Henry Wade, alleging that Texas abortion laws were unconstitutional. A 3-judge panel of the United States District Court of the Northern District of Texas heard the case and ruled in her favor. Texas then appealed directly to the U.S. Supreme Court. In January 1973, the Supreme Court issued a 7-2 decision in McCorvey's favor, ruling that the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution provides a right to privacy that protects a pregnant woman's right to choose whether to have an abortion. It also ruled that this right is not absolute and must be balanced against government's interest in protecting women's health and prenatal life. The court resolved this balancing test by tying state regulation of abortion to the 3 trimesters of pregnancy. During the first trimesters, government could not prohibit abortions at all. During the second trimester, governments could require reasonable health regulations. During the third trimesters, abortions could be prohibited entirely so long as the laws contained exceptions for cases when they were necessary to save the life or health of the mother. The court classified the right to choose to have an abortion as fundamental, which required courts to evaluate challenged abortion laws under the strict scrutiny standard, the highest level of judicial review in the United States. So this was decided January 22nd, 1973. And we have been adhering to this for almost 50 years. Okay? Women have had the right to choose. They've had autonomy over their own bodies. And now, apparently, that is set to change because a document was leaked from the SCOTUS saying that they were going to overturn this decision. Okay. This has been something that has been in the works for a long time. This is something that has always, come up, protesting on Capitol Hill, all of this. When I lived in DC, I don't think there was a day that you would go up to the Capitol in DC and there wasn't somebody there protesting, pro-lifers against, pro-choice. It's always been a back and forth, especially when the anniversary of the decision comes around, which is always at the end of January. Like I said, it's January 22nd, which is usually right after the State of the Union or right around the State of the Union. So this is what has been going on for many, many years that I lived in DC. So it's nothing new. I cannot imagine being in a position to make a decision such as this and not being able to do so, because being faced with a decision such as this and not being able to choose what I want to do in the situation. I cannot even imagine a woman who has been sexually assaulted and may become pregnant from a forced sexual act, rape, whatever, however you want to say this, and has to make the horrific decision to keep a child from that encounter. Well, I'm going to say encounter, attack, violent attack. And it happens all the time. And it's so jarring to me that still people are paying out the nose to even have birth control, to be on the pill, to, all of these different things. It's just things like that in many other countries, especially our European counterparts, are free. You can walk into anywhere, any clinic, any place, and get this sort of stuff for free. Birth control, free. And it's unbelievable to me that we are essentially, I said on Facebook that, yesterday, I was like, it's like we're sliding back into the show, if you guys have ever watched The Handmaid's Tale, where women have no say over anything that has to do with their bodies, or even having children is forced upon them, and they're basically sold into this servitude of slavery, or whatever you want to call it, to these dictator type men and wives who blindly go along with these archaic type of rules. And people think, well, this is just a television show. This is just, this would never happen. And I'm telling you, when you put certain people in office, it sets the tone for a lot of crazy stuff. And it's interesting to me that so many of these men who are making these decisions, and I'm speaking specifically of the men because they seem to be very staunch about this, but trust me, there's a lot of women who are supporting this as well. So many of these folks are the same people that will have mistresses on the side, and they will pay for their mistresses to have abortions because they don't want to be outed for their philandering, right? But you are gonna block a woman from owning her own body? I mean, can we make it make sense? I'm baffled by it all. This is a very sad time in our country. If you are not registered to vote, please vote. Register and vote. This November is so important. Yes, presidential elections are very important, but this November can determine so many different things, especially in the more conservative states like here in Georgia, Texas, Florida, these sort of places that already have such wacky laws and rules and foolishness that already goes on here. Alabama, all these places. I implore you, you gotta pay attention. Once you allow them to control your body, this is not the wearing of a mask to stave off a deadly virus. This is about whether you can make decisions for your own body. You know what I mean? People are trying to compare this to wearing a mask. Listen, wearing the mask is for the good of the public. What does a woman having an abortion have to do with you? She's not bothering you. It doesn't affect you. Has nothing to do with you. You wearing a mask could affect the closest people that are standing within, earshot of you. That's a totally different situation than a woman who is making a decision for herself, or her and the man that she is involved with making a decision for their family, for their situation, whatever the case may be. I know there's all different types of scenarios. We can go through all the scenarios all day, but we're not going to do that. Just taking away a person's right to choose. It's unbelievable to me that we are literally rolling back the hands of time. Like literally, this decision was made like, as a matter of fact, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. This decision was made 7 months before I was born, to the day. Unbelievable. But we got to pray for this country. There are way bigger fish to fry. Way bigger. But this would be such a step back. Instead of doing this, why not expand programs so that women don't even have to make these type of horrible, tough decisions? Expand these programs so they can afford to take care of their children. Expand the programs so that they can afford to get on the pill to protect themselves in the first place. You can't expect that nobody's going to have sex. You can't expect that everybody's going to stand up against a corner and not, fraternize. I mean, come on. So what's going to end up happening is you're going to get a whole bunch of people that are going to be traveling to different places to have unsafe abortions. And it's going to turn into how things were in the 50s and the 60s, where women were just doing their own abortions waking up in a pool of blood on a bathroom floor, either in their home or in the office or whatever. We don't need that again. We don't need all these crazy people doing under the table abortions. This is not it. This ain't it. The right to choose. Just the right to choose. People complained about the mask. They wanted the right to choose about the mask. Okay, you got it. The CDC took the mask man. Okay, cool. Do what you want. But this is so much bigger than that. This is a person's own body. Are you going to take care of the child? Are you going to raise this child? Are you going to take this child in? And never mind the individual situations of why it even got to this point. That's a whole other thing. People, we cannot go backwards. So many times we make so much progress and then we just go backwards. I don't know what's going to happen with this. I don't know how other people feel who may listen. Maybe you're a pro-lifer, maybe you're a pro-choice. Regardless, I don't dislike anyone just because of their personal opinion, whether it be based on facts, religions, whatever the case may be. I respect people. But this right here, I had to voice my opinion on because it's just the most archaic thing I can't even believe it myself, honestly. This is really something. I don't know. I guess we'll see in the coming days how this all plays out. But pray for this country. Pray for this country. This is supposed to be land of the free, home of the brave, all of that. And it's looking like prison. It's looking like these are all the things that chip away at the beginnings of dictatorship. And if you don't think it can happen, my friend, you better think again. Because 2024 is coming. And these folks are coming back for their top spot. And we got to be ready. Ready with your vote. Ready with your activism. Ready with your educating the people. If you want to continue the conversation, it may get heated, I'm just letting you know. But at Onyx Queen Media on all socials. Instagram is pretty much my one main active account. And thank you for listening. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye. Online savings simplified. Don't search for coupon codes ever again. With one click, Honey's smart shopping assistant will automatically apply discounts to your cart in seconds. Save on all your favorite things. Easily pay less for products you're already buying online. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Join Honey for free. It takes 2 clicks to add Honey to your Chrome, Safari, Firefox, or Opera browser. Find savings in seconds. While you shop, Honey will find working promo codes across the entire internet, and you save instantly. With one click, Honey will apply the best deals to your cart. It's that easy. So what are you waiting for? Get Honey. Download it today. Visit our link, www.tinyurl.com/ONYXHONEY. That's www.tinyurl.com/Onyx Honey. Start saving right now.